And so we started to talk, and she was asking me questions about angelic work clearing, like the healing work that I do, and like, how do I know all that stuff? So we had this fascinating talk for like an hour on the phone after we met in person. And then when I flew home, her and I talked more. But what I felt was so fascinating with Honey Girl is how I met her and how a soul could leave the body. What I think of is the death process is just really shape-shifting. So when we're not afraid of leaving this form, what I look at the human form or the animal form, the form is like a spacesuit for the soul. So the soul is this vast, large energy, infinite potential. It's like the ocean, where the personality, the ego personality that we are, is like a drop of water from the ocean. And sometimes when we're living our life, we get caught up in this ego personality part of ourselves, like we're the drop of the ocean and we're competing with the rest of the ocean, or we think we're not, adequate or worthy of the ocean, whatever the ego likes to do. And it's, wiggling around in its little lid of droplet of water. But when we understand we are the ocean, there's this vast connection that we share with other souls. And what was amazing with all this experience with finding her is that for her to leave her physical body, and she loved me, and I loved her. So this was a huge decision to leave that form. And when she left that form and then told me she'd be back, and then to go into the Hawaiian Islands, reincarnate in another animal form, my soul's calling me to Maui, not to Oahu, not to Kona. Like I said, it was Maui. So we ended up finding out the day before we left the island, the woman who does the shelter that rescues the animals and holds the animals, her house was 2 minutes from our condo. We literally could have walked there. And so all of this stuff coming into place was so mind-blowing, magical, that I had to share it with all of you. And I feel like the reason I want to share it is that it can help us to really pay attention to the miracles in our life. When we're listening, when we have a feeling of being summoned somewhere, our heart's calling us somewhere, and when we honor the calling, even when it doesn't make any logical sense, like me going to Hawaii, in logical place, it wasn't necessary. It wasn't really anything that needed to happen. But in the heart, my heart was like, you need to go there. You need to go there soon. And so when I got there, and then I had a great time anyway. I had an amazing vacation. That was the bonus. But having the reconnection with my soul sister, with this dog, and me being able to rescue her again and find her, that was miraculous. And it helped me make sense of everything. The angel card of how everything's going to make sense soon was exactly what happened. And one of the things that was interesting that happened the night before we went there, before we found her, is the friend Susie that I recently met. She gets psychic vision sometimes with things that will come in. And so I was just talking about Shiva a lot on that trip, I realize now. And it didn't really make sense at the time. I didn't know why I was talking about her so dang much, but I was. And she was saying to me, she's like, Tanya, was Shiva like a blonde dog and she had a brown nose? And I was like, no, she was a white lab and she had a black nose. And so she was like, because I'm seeing her, but she's blonde and she has a brown nose. And so I kind of that night was like, I don't know what she's seeing because that's not what she looks like. And I just let it go because I didn't really understand what she was seeing. The next day when I met Honey Girl, she is a blonde color of hair. Her hair's blondish brown, like tan color, and she has a brown nose. And so I feel like Susie was seeing her as she is now, not as she used to be. So it was interesting because when I was in Hawaii, I ended up getting these cards. They're really beautiful. They're called the Hawaiian healing cards, and they look like that. And for my workshop yesterday, I drew 2 cards, and I feel like they go perfectly with this topic today as well, so I'm going to read them again. The first one is shape-shifting. It's Kuakino, transforming your body, and it's the shape-shifting card. And what it says on the back is, shape-shifting is the ability to transform your energetic field into the vibrational quality of any animal, being, or element. This common practice among indigenous shamans was used for the purpose of healing and helping others. Shape-shifting can support you to embody power, softness, strength, fluidity, or other qualities to help you balance how you interact with life. And the intention, so the positive affirmation of this card is, my intention is to learn from all of nature and to allow myself to shapeshift when I need qualities that are not yet a part of my self-expression. So I felt this one was perfect for the fact that the whole topic I'm talking about today is how Shiva shapeshifted and chose a new form, and how, some of you may have questions about the afterlife and like reincarnation. And there's a lot of us that if we haven't had an experience, we just have these thoughts of theory. Like there's a theory or a belief system of what happens after a soul dies. Does it die and just it ends? Does it die and it goes on and goes into a new form? Is reincarnation possible? There's all these things that we can talk about from a place of theory. And what is amazing is when you have experience, because the soul knows truth from experience. So I could be telling the story of Shiva reincarnating as Honey Girl, and to someone that's not had the experience, they may just be like, I don't know about that. Like, I don't know if that's possible because my belief system says that you just die and you just end. And so that's fine. If you want to cling to a belief system, you're going to only get what you believe. What I've experienced is the more open we are, the more receptive we are to the bigger truth, and the more we ask for confirmation and clarity, the more we will be given experience to show us and teach us. So through this experience, I know in every fiber of my being that reincarnation is absolutely possible. And I've known this before. I've had many experiences with clients, with loved ones that have come in confirmation. But this was amazing because it personally happened to me. It personally happened with my dog, and we were reunited. And what's beautiful about that I hope to offer hope and inspiration to all that are watching today, is that some of you may have lost something. Maybe it's a child, or maybe it was a mother or a father, or you lost a friend, or it was a beloved dog. Whatever that thing is, that being that you feel you lost, I hope today's message will give you inspiration to realize that nothing that is yours is ever lost. And that sometimes we have to walk alone for our own growth. Like for me, I knew when Shiva left her form, she was still with me in spirit, but I was meant to walk alone on the path for a little while, meaning not alone, but without her. And she was there in spirit, not in form. But she promised me and told me she would be back, and she really kept her promise. And so I feel one of the amazing things I felt from this story is when I connected with the woman on the phone in Hawaii, I called her and I showed her pictures of Honey Girl, and I was just showing her that she was doing great and kind of talking to her about the whole journey. And she was talking to me about a lot of the healing that's needed in Hawaii, some of the things that are going on there that are, really out of alignment, and a lot of things like how she's been a pioneer of standing up to get Monsanto out of that community, how she's really worked hard to stop the chemtrails and the things that they're doing where they're spraying chemicals over the islands. And she feels as if it's just like they're spraying and like trying to basically exterminate the humans there. And she was telling me things that I've already been told in meditation are happening on the planet. But her passion and her truth behind what she was saying was really amazingly intense. And as we talked, I talked to her and I said, I felt like this talking with this woman, I felt like her and I already knew each other. Like we had already had soul connection at a deep level, and we understood each other's language very much. And I asked her, I said, we should really pay attention right now, because I felt called to Maui, and I know part of it was to connect with the soul of my dog. I was meant to find her. But at another level, I felt a very strong protection towards Hawaii. Like I've been called in dream state to do healing for Hawaii many times. And when I was in the Hawaiian Islands, this trip, the girls and I, my soul sisters, we went out on the beach under the full moon, and we were anchoring in energy and light, and we were calling and clearing from the angels to all the Hawaiian Islands to clear out lower vibrational frequencies and energies, and to kind of help clear some of the racial issues that are there. There's quite a bit of like a prejudice, racial energy that's going on there that I've sensed for a long time. Kind of like if you think of in the South during civil rights movement, there was like people degrading people just because they're black and they don't think they should have the same rights, and they get beat up and they get shamed. Well, in Hawaii, there's a similar energy where if you're a white person, there's like a degrading given to being white. You're a haole, and there's violence, and there's things that are done towards white people. And it's really a lot of old cellular memory of what was done to the islanders when white Europeans came in and brought them sickness and brought them alcohol and brought them guns and brought them corruption and really enslaved them, just like what happened on the mainland with the Native Americans. And so there's still a lot of anger there. But what Source has shown me is for us to clear this, we have to clear that cellular memory. It's really important that all that old energy, though we hold the history and we can honor the history, it's time to rewrite the story. It's time to take that ancient old and blend it with the sacred new. And it's time to release all the pain and all the cellular memory that's causing enslavement and suffering. And so I was very much doing that on the island before I even met this woman. And that's what I felt called to help Hawaii with in an energetic way. And what I will continue to assist with as I get called back for retreats and things that will happen in the future I'm sensing are going to go down. But what was interesting is with this woman telling me all these things she felt, and then I was telling her what I understood. And I just told her, we need to really pay attention to the miracle that's happening right now, because for this dog, this soul, bigger than a dog, this soul, this amazingly awake and aware soul that would leave its form that it loved and leave its soul sister that it loved to be reincarnated in Maui and to come to you two women in particular, and then you and I would meet for me to get this dog back, and we would reconnect. I said, we might want to really pay attention to the importance of this synchronistic experience, because I feel it's much more important and powerful than maybe some could see. And she was thinking about it. She's like, you're right. Like, there is something bigger going on. So I say that to each of you, because if this is happening in my life, it can be happening in your life as well. And some of us, the only reason we won't notice these miracles is because we're not paying attention to these little synchronistic things. We're not honoring them. We're not having gratitude for when the magic happens. We may not be journaling it down or paying attention. And it doesn't mean the magic isn't happening. It's just you're not paying attention. There's so many humans on this planet that are so blessed and so cared for. We're all supported. We're all cared for. But so the difference between a soul that is living in the magic and that is, flowing with life and having an amazing time and beautiful things are happening, the difference between that soul and one that's suffering and seems to not have anything going right, not having what it wants, often is a focal point of gratitude. Like really paying attention to what you're grateful for and really celebrating every little magical moment and even calling forth new ones, paying attention to them and thanking your angels, thanking the universe, thanking Source for all the miracles and for summoning in the new experiences, because I promise you they're there. It's just if we're not looking for them, if we're not open to them, then we're sitting there looking at the sadness and the pain and the anger and the hate and the judgment. We're choosing to live a much smaller form of existence. We're choosing to get caught up in that personality ego part of ourselves, and we're denying the soul part of ourselves. And that soul part is connected to everything. And so for me to feel that summoning to Maui, to go find my dog, for her to know I'm her soul sister and to recognize me, this is the connection of the soul. And the souls are all connected. For me to recognize the woman I'm talking to on the phone and to be like, we know each other. And I think we have some important work we're going to be doing. This is the deeper understanding of the soul. And so when we're in alignment, we will honor the soul calling and we will honor all the other souls that come in that are here to assist with this bigger mission. But when we get caught up in the ego personality, we get in the small place and we compete, we compare, we can be like buffaloes bulldozing our way energetically through situations, and we're trying to take it from people. We're trying to compete with them. We think there's not enough. And so we're that little droplet of water flailing around trying to deny the entire ocean. And it's it can be quite humorous to ones that are observing it with alignment.